we will try to see that all the objectives put forward ultimately end in achieving the objective of the organization. Plurality itself, it means to say that group of many persons who assemble to fulfill a common purpose. It is not just about leading, but it's all about giving that performance with all the challenges inbuilt. Good morning and welcome to the Unit 3 Session 1 in Management Principles and Practices in the first semester B.B.A, where we are going to talk about the nature and purpose of organizing. Now, it's a very, very interesting topic when I speak about the word organizing itself. According to the great management gurus, Kuhns and Donnell, they are told that organization involves the grouping of activities necessary to accomplish the goals and plans, the assignment to these activities to the appropriate departments in case of the provision of authority, delegation, and the coordination. Now, let me make these things very, very simple for you, which means organization starts with the very simple process of putting things together. That's what you see in the diagram here. It is all about grouping all the activities, the necessary activities, one by one, so that you get a meaningful output. Now, organization is something which is very, very important in terms of understanding the flow of work. Now, when you start organizing an event, for example, you need to understand the priorities that have to be included. Now, when we talk about organizing a cricket match, organizing a birthday party, or organizing a corporate meeting, we need to understand the protocols that has to be followed in terms of completion of the activities. So let's start with this factor of how to accomplish the goals and plans, how to go forward in terms of seeing that every department is able to contribute, every department is able to work actively and start getting on in terms of achieving the desired results. So that's where organizing becomes a very, very important function. Moving forward, it involves the division of work among people whose efforts must be coordinated to achieve the specific objectives to implement predetermined strategies. Let us make it very simple in the modern day. Most of the time, we believe that I can do the work by myself. I don't want to share my workload. I don't want to go ahead and tell people very, very clearly, objectively, stating the fact that, I can work in groups. I believe that I'll be able to take the load and deliver. But what does organizing say? It says that the work has to be divided equally among the members. It has to be given in such a manner that everybody gets an equal opportunity in terms of achieving the organization goals. So that is why we say that in the concept of organizing, the division of work among people is a high priority, followed by which it should be coordinated in such a manner that you are able to achieve the specific goals that are being spoken by the organization, that are being underestimated, that are being given by the organization altogether. So what do we typically tend to do is that we first tend to achieve that specific objectives, and we also try to see that the strategies that have been predetermined, the strategies which are already kept in place, are put together. You can see that the strategy is coming together so that the organization is able to achieve its objective. So this is a whole lot of exercise which involves every single member of the organization trying to put in their best so that we are able to achieve the desired target. Now, moving further, let's talk about the nature of or the characteristics of the organization. Now, I'm going to use both this word alternatively. I will be either speaking about the word nature or characteristics. Now, which means to say that from the study of various definitions given by management experts, we get the following information about the nature and characteristics of organization. Now, when you look into this picture here, you might see that there are n number of people who are working together for a different set of objectives altogether. But at the end of the day, they all come under the same organization. They are all guided by the same principles and policies, and they have been envisioned with the power of getting things done. Now, what is very important here is that as you start putting your focus to that image, you will be able to observe very, very clearly that each one of them are trying to organize themselves into relevant groups so that they will be able to achieve the organizational objective. This is very, very important here. Now, what is the true nature of organizing? What are all the characteristics that are inbuilt in organizing? We are going to see it one by one, followed by, now let's start here. The first one, division of work. Division of work is the basis of an organization. So I'm just going to stop here for a minute. Why? Because when I say the basis for any organization, that means that's the fundamental activity. That is the foundation stone for any organization to grow with. So that's why I say this is the basis of the organization. Followed by, now there cannot be no organization without division of work. So which means to say that you cannot have a flat organization, or you cannot just have a one-man organization or a one-man army trying to say that I am everything for the company. The company will consist of multiple people having different designations. They have been assigned to do a particular job. They have been assigned to do a particular task. So there will be always a division of work which will try to guide them to achieve the objective. So that's why I say that the entire work of the business, now when I take a consulting company, when I take a manufacturing company, when I take a pharma, whatever might be the nature of business, the work will be divided into many departments. So you will have functional departments like finance, HR, marketing, sales, accounting, operations, information technology. All these departments will be available, will be present in an organization who will try to achieve their organizational objectives under their own parameters. Followed by, the work of every department is further subdivided into the sub-work, which means to say that in the finance department, you will have another sub-functionalities that would be included. Now, they're all part of the finance department, which in turn belongs to the parent organization itself. But then, when we are talking about this departmentalization, yes, there will be further division through which the work is being conducted. In this way, each individual has to do the same work repeatedly so that he will be able to achieve that has been told. Now, moving further, now we're going to talk about the coordination. Under coordination, different persons are assigned different works, but what you are going to see is that the aim of all these persons happen to be sometimes the attainment of objective of the enterprise. So what we mean to say here is that we will try to see that all the objectives put forward ultimately end in achieving the objective of the organization. That's what is very, very important. So when I use this word coordination, it's all about coming together. It's all about understanding each and every member of the organization. Now, what happens in an organization, as we have already spoken, each intellectual will have his own set of ideas, opinions, thought process, aims, objectives. But at the end of the day, what the organization wants out of you is that work as a team, work as a group, which will try to accomplish the mission, which will try to accomplish the organizational objectives. So the primary aim of coordination is to see that, are you able to attain the objectives? Are you able to come forward and see through that whether the objectives of the enterprise are attained, are achieved? Followed by, the organization ensures that the work of all the persons involved, dependent on each other, And though it might be different, it might be, the way how a salesperson works will be different from that of an IT, will be different from that of a finance. But at the end of the day, all these people should coordinate, they should come forward, they should understand that we need to work together as a common team, as a common member, and then we will see that we are able to achieve the desired goal. So that's why I say that the work of one person starts where the work of another person ends. So where the salesperson ends, the marketing person's work might start from there. Where the marketing person ends, probably the finance person starts from there. So in this way, it is a chain of activities that we are speaking. Now, when we talk about the chain has to remain intact. It has to be strong. It has to be interconnected. It has to be well defined so that the flow of activities is not disturbed. You need to understand how the nature and the activity, that's the characteristics of organizing, is putting you together to achieve the organizational objectives. Followed by the non-completion of any work from one person affects the work of everybody. So let us understand this factor very, very clearly. Now, we are all like a pack of cards lined together. If there is going to be an impact on one of the cards, then automatically what happens? The entire row falls down. You will be able to see here in the figure that's been given, one person's work is impacted to everybody. If that one person misses the target, he is not able to complete the work due to many reasons, then what happens is that everybody else falls back. So the target is not about just achieving the numbers. The target is all about making people come together and achieving it together as a team. So that's why we say that everybody has to complete the task in time. Everybody has to understand that one should not form a barricade for the others. Everybody should cooperate. Everybody should understand, yes, I'm doing something for the organization. They should come forward. They should help each other. They should hold their hands, and then they should see for the development of the organization. It is thus very, very clear that in nature of organization to establish coordination among different works, departments, and the post in the enterprise. So you might be in a senior post, you might be in a mid-level or in a junior level. That does not really matter. But the work that has been given to you has to be completed within the given time frame. If you are not completing the work within the given time frame, then automatically you will not be able to achieve the targets. You will not be able to make a progress, which in turn will go and affect the other person. So it is mandatory that you complete your work in time. You understand the importance of achieving the deadlines prescribed. With that, let's move forward to understand the plurality of persons. Now, when we talk about the word plurality itself, it means to say that group of many persons who assemble to fulfill a common purpose. Is it true that there are always organizations consist of so many people? The answer is yes. Now, let us try to understand a single individual cannot create an organization. Never. It's never possible at all. It is never the CEO or the chairman or the managing director of the company who alone stands to create an organization. It is the hundreds and thousands of workers who stand together day and night to create the identity for an organization. So always understand and believe on this factor that plurality of the people. It is always many. It's always people put together, and it is not a singular effort at any given point of time. So organizations believe that when people come together, that's how coordination is actually achievable. Now, moving further, let's talk about the common objectives. Now, this is very, very important for us. There are many parts, various parts of the organization which perform, but they all move in the same direction to achieve the goal. You see this movement all together. Now, whenever in an organization you're working, now let's say that you're working in an IT company like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, HCL, what normally happens is that you never know what is your neighbor working upon. You have been recruited by the company for a specific purpose or a task altogether. You do not know for why, for what is the reason behind it. But all you know is that I have been given a task. I have been given a role. So I would keep doing that job as prescribed. Now, like that, hundreds and thousands of people who have been recruited by the company have been given definite task, roles, and responsibilities. But where are all these task and responsibility heading to? Where does all the roads lead to? There is a very important and a common proverb in English where we say all roads lead to Rome. Similarly, all the tasks, all the assignments lead to a common goal, and that is organizational objective. So at the end of the day, when all these people put their efforts together, they coordinate their abilities, their skills, it leads to a very, very important function, and that's called achieving the organizational objective. So that's why we say that at the end of the day, performance does count in terms of reaching your final stage. This is very, very important for all of us to understand here. Followed by well-defined authority and responsibility. Under an organization chain is an established, that is, different posts right from the top to the bottom. Now let's try to understand this word designation clearly. People fight for a designation. So when I go back to my society, to my social circle, when people ask me this question, what are you doing in a company? What is the role? I immediately come out with a very fancy title. I say I'm vice president, I'm GM, I'm director, I'm X, I'm Y, I'm a head of operations. What does it really mean to the organization? From an individual standpoint, it is a status symbol. But from an organizational standpoint, it is not a status symbol. It is the way how you are going to guide people. It is a way how you are going to lead your team to success. Why? Because in organizing factor, we say well-defined authority. A person is well-defined with his roles, responsibilities, and capability to lead from the front. He knows exactly how to take his people during the times of challenging time altogether, make it happen, and he takes the authority and responsibility together. So every post has got some authority, has got some responsibility added to it. Yes, when I claim myself as the CEO of a company, there is some authority in that. There are some authoritative statements which I can make, no doubt about it, but there is a huge responsibility that is added to it. So everybody must understand this factor very clearly, that authority and responsibility are going to be two eyes of the organization. It is mandatory for you to understand that when you are being provided with certain authority, you have to take it up seriously, because there is some responsibility added to it, and you need to guide every single individual working in the organization towards the path of success. That is what is written here. When working in an organization, some authority for the efficient work performance. And it is also decided simultaneously as to what to do, what would be the responsibility of that individual in case of unsatisfactory work performance. So when an authoritative figure like your manager, like the project head, finds that a person is not able to perform the task to the given expected level, this definitely the manager is not going to feel happy. He is going to come back and say that we are not happy with the kind of work that you are doing. So there is going to be an unsatisfactory work performance report going to come out. So for an authoritative figure here, it is not just about leading, but it's all about giving that performance with all the challenges inbuilt. Followed by organization is a structure of relationship. Now let's try to understand this words very, very clearly here. Relationship between persons working on different posts in organization is decided, which means I'm going to talk about the reporting hierarchy. I'm going to talk about the reporting structures as who will report to whom, what will be the flow of work, who will be the superior, who will be the subordinate. This is purely from an organization standpoint. Please believe that post and power is got nothing to do in person. This has not something to do with the person or the personality. It has all got to do with the organization, because there needs to be a formal reporting hierarchy. You need to know who are the superiors, who are your subordinates, what level they are working, under what conditions they are reporting to you, how the work has to be done, how it has to be guided. All those factors have to be kept in place. So that's why, leaving the top level post and the lowest level post, there is always somebody in terms of reporting, in terms of subordinate. But even in the topmost post, I will say, let's say you are the chairman of the company, you are still answerable to your shareholders, to your stakeholders. So at any given point of time, please understand the nature of working here is all interconnected. You need to answer somebody, and somebody needs to give you an answer. That's how organizing function is so well correlated inside an institution. Followed by, organization is a machine of management. Now, this is a very, very important statement that can be made today. It's a machine of management, which means it's considered to be a powerhouse. It is considered to be the base for the efficiency of the organization. The machinery structure has to be so well built so that the organization does not fall apart at any point of time. Now, for example, in most of the organizations or in your home, when there is a electricity shortage or when there is a power cut, automatically the generator comes forward, it gets, ignited, and it starts helping you to restore the power back. There's a power back plan available with you. Similarly, in an organization setup altogether, you need to understand the efficiency factor. You need to have everything planned in such a manner that every organization is able to back up its work. It's able to see that each and every activity is covered in such a way, it is done so correlated, so cohesive, so that there is no gap left. So that's why we say that even in the absence of people, even in the absence of some software or system, the work should not get disturbed. There should always be a backup plan in such a way defined so that the organization can keep moving and keep achieving. Now, it is like a machinery, which means to say that even the smallest part of work cannot be ignored. Even the smallest part of the machinery, if it goes for a fault, then automatically the entire machinery comes to an end. So one has to understand that organizing, you need to have it as a center focus of the organization, and you need to carry it forward in a systematic manner. Followed by, organization is a universal process. We understand this because now we are speaking a universal language. Management is a universal language. Organization is a universal language, and so is organizing. It is not for you and me alone. It is not for the people of India or for the Russia or for UK or for Germany or for US. It is for every single person in this world. It is for the 195 countries in this world where we will speak the same language called as organizing. So it's very, very important here. Not only this, organization will be needed where there are two or more people work jointly. So even let's say that if you're going to work single, you need to organize yourself. You need to carry a diary. You need to write down what you want to do today, how you want it to do today. And so there are so many factors, nitty-gritties that are involved. Similarly, I would always say here that there are more than two people working, automatically organizing function comes into picture, and it is mandatory that we do it. Followed by, organization is a dynamic process. It is not a static process, which means it is related to people, it is related to change, it keeps on changing with knowledge, skill and ability of the people. It is mandatory for us to change, and we need to accept change inside the organization. So organization will keep moving with the different change factors that are coming in, and we need to adjust ourselves, adapt ourselves to the situation and keep moving forward. Now, The other factor is that the impact of this change affects the various functions of the organization. Thus, organization is not a process that can be decided for all times to come, but it undergoes changes. Now, that's where I say that organization will not just end up at one point. Suddenly, if there is going to be a change that is going to be recorded, that change will be understood, accepted, and taken forward. You cannot just say that this is the end. I will not change. I will remain where I am. No, that is not going to be accepted at all. What is going to be seen is that in case if there is going to be something which is very old, which cannot be changed, which cannot be renewed kind of thing, we remove that process, we abolish that system, and we create a new system. So at any given point of time, organization expects that it will continue to function as it is expected to. So change is actually a welcome factor to the organization because it gives it a chance to update, to improve, and to deliver better performance. With that, I come to the end of this session. I hope and believe that all the inputs that have been given in this session will be of a great help to you, both in terms of theory as well as in terms of practical factor. In the upcoming session, yes, we are going to talk more about the organizing functions, which will be very, very interesting in our daily walk of life. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.